Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Hiya Toys Rambo First Blood Exquisite Super. Is that what they're called? I think that's what they're called. I keep forgetting. I don't know why. I think it's because my brain doesn't work anymore. Yeah, Exquisite Super series, which are 1/12 scale figures. Bigger than normal Hiya stuff. I can't speak anymore. So I know a lot of you guys are really into the idea of Hiya making larger scale figures because of certain licenses they have. I know some of you are very hesitant about them having soft goods as opposed to being plastic. Well, we're going to talk about all of that. I am not a soft goods person. I'm going to put that out there right now. But that doesn't mean I can't tell you if it's good or if it's bad. But you have to decide for yourself if it's the kind of thing you want to own. But I'm going to show you as best I can the quality of what they're putting out. All right, and I do have the other Rambo figures, First Blood, Second Blood, and Third Blood. I know that's not what they're called. So if you guys want to see those reviews, let me know in the comment section below. But let's go ahead and get this guy off the stand and take a closer look. Okay, before we get into the figure, I want to show you my package. It is a very, very nice package. I have to say the slipcover is fairly basic, but it is a sleeve slipcover. That's for a book, isn't it? Okay, so oops, I have it backwards. So then you have just a very, even more basic, a basicer box, and then you can open it, of course, because that's how boxes work. It's a very, very high quality packaging, so if you're into that sort of thing, you win. But then you also have very nice clamshell type stuff in there, blisters, really. And that's it. But yeah, it's really high quality packaging. I know some people love packages, and if you do, this is one that's good for you. No windows, though. So be aware of that. All right. Okay. So good packaging, but definitely not particularly displayable. All right. Now let's get into the meat and taters of this review. This guy stands. It's 1/12 scale. I don't know how tall Sylvester Stallone is supposed to be, but this is. It seems to me, unless he's taller than I am, which I really doubt, it's about 6 and. Let's call it 6 3/8. Not counting a little bit of hair poof. So that would make him very tall in real life, almost 6'6". I don't think he is even close to that. So it's a little over 16, call it 16.25 centimeters. So Marvel Legends 1/12 scale is what this seems like. Let's compare him to Darwin. Let's see what we have going on. Yeah, so it seems to me to be Marvel Legends scaling. He is basically the same size as Darwin, which is probably good. I mean, a lot of people want things to be like true to scale, but also want their collections to go together. And since, unfortunately, most companies go bigger than they're supposed to scale-wise, that's probably a good thing. All right, question of the day. Yeah, are you for soft goods or are you against soft goods? And are you willing to move on that? Like, if you really wanted Rambo figures, for instance, are you willing to accept soft goods if they look good enough? Or are you just going to be, no, I don't want that? Let me know what you guys think. I am generally, no, I don't want a soft goods sort of thing, unless it's used appropriately and sparingly. Like for the, was it Mafex Gambit? I'm fine with that jacket. And I might be fine with something like this if I was into Rambo, even though he does have pants and everything. All right, let's go ahead and talk about the aesthetic. I'm going to cover the very first noticeable thing that I noticed very first, and that would be that his waist is really thick. And that's because of the clothing that is on him. Obviously, they could have shrunken down the plastic inside to be able to cinch in that waist a little bit more, and I think that would have been a really good thing. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think as soon as you pose him at all, it's going to be fine. And after you look at him for a few minutes, you kind of don't notice it. But it does have that issue that soft goods have. I mean, you have it with plastic too if you have extra pieces like belts. Like Batman's belt, for instance, sticks out way more than a belt would in real life because you can only make plastic so thin. So you kind of get that no matter what. But you can see he does have a lot of extra thickness due to the material. But I think it's not too bad, personally. As somebody who hates soft goods, it's not bothering me that much. So I think that's reasonable enough. I think the jeans look really good. I think they did a good job of making them look like dirty jeans. The material is a good choice. And the dirtying, I think, is a good choice. Quality seems good so far. I was very hesitant about them going into soft goods. It's not an easy thing to do, especially at this scale. I don't love the way the belt keeps doing that, but you could probably mess with it. And there you go. It looks a little bit better there. But yeah, it's got a nice belt. The little knife sheath looks good. Like, it's a solid... That's got to be functional. It has to be. I haven't tested it. Let's see. It's a solid looking scaled figure. Yeah, it's functional. As far as it goes? Nope. All right, cool. It works. Very nice. So, ooh, are the pockets real? There's no way the pockets are real. That's almost never a thing. Can I move this or not? Yeah. All right, let's test the pockets. No way. I almost never find that the pockets are real on these figures. Every time I think a pocket's real, I try to put something in there and it doesn't work. They did real pockets. The backs, they look stitched. No, they're functional too. No kidding. Let me be clear, I still don't like soft goods, but if you're gonna do them right, and I am very surprised. It's not the best looking ass on a pair of jeans I've ever seen. It looks a little bit weird. In fact, this pocket's even a different shape than this pocket a little bit, but the fact that they're functional and reasonably high quality, aesthetically speaking, that makes me happy. This belt is driving me nuts though. If I was going to display this, I would put something on there, like some Too Faced tape or something to keep that belt where it goes. But anyway, there's that. Okay, let's look at the shirt. They used what appears to be, is it stretchy? Usually using spandex or materials with spandex in them is a good call. It helps with scaling. It's a very fine weave. Yeah, it looks like a nice material. It's not perfect. You can see around the shoulders, but also doesn't fray. It doesn't look perfect to scale, but it's reasonably good. I don't know that you can do much better for a tank top at this scale. It looks pretty damn good. Like, I'm honestly impressed about this. This is better than, what were those other ones I was reviewing? Soap Studios? It's better looking than that, that's for sure. All right, so the clothing is reasonable. They did do, I don't like this, they did do a cloth headband, which looks good over here, but they stuck it under the hair also, and it's like that on all the heads, and mine doesn't sit properly in there, and I couldn't adjust it any underneath the bangs, so be aware of that. All right, so the clothing is definitely reasonable. If you can accept soft goods, you're fine. Let's look at the face. I think that is, for young Sylvester Stallone, it might not be perfect, but it's definitely good enough. I mean, comparatively, it's incredibly well done. And Darman actually has a really nice head sculpt. I love the details on that. But for this figure, I am very pleased with that. Even the paint job is perfectly acceptable. I'm too close to the camera. Let me back it up a little bit. The beard's not perfect, but it's solid. And if you're not actually zoomed in reviewing it, it's gonna look really good. There's shading in there. The detail work is nice. I'm pleased with it. The musculature on this guy, his main body is a soft piece of, it's probably PVC, on top of a skeleton, and it's a little bit shiny, unfortunately, which you can get away with. You can say it's sweat. The shoulders have a little bit of shine to them too. The arms, not so much. But I think overall, he looks really good. That's good anatomy. It's perfectly good. I think his biceps could look a little better, I guess, but that's probably just the result of the articulation in there. It is certainly not bad. Not bad at all. The chest and abdomen underneath the shirt, there's muscles in there, and they did a good job sculpting it. Like, I think it looks, it's surprisingly good. I am surprised. It looks really good. And then the shoes are reasonably well done also. Actually, they're full-on boots. Let me see if I can pull the pants up a little bit. There you go. You can see. Very clean. Very nice. Now, I am concerned about the boots because they're a soft material and they're sitting on top of like a skeleton of joints for the ankle. So they're really functional, but I'm afraid they may crack. But if they do, it's going to be underneath the pants anyway. So I'm not super worried about that. So yeah, aesthetically speaking, other than the wide hips, so to speak, the wide waist, this is solid. This is very, very nice looking. I'm going to give this, by the way, it's only 80 bucks for everything you get, and I'm going to show you. There's plenty of it. This is a very reasonably good figure. I'm going to say 9 out of 10. I don't like the waist, but everything else has actually impressed me. So that's a good thing, because I don't like figures like this personally. So, all right, let's talk about the accessories. You get the neutral head that comes on him in the package. Then you get the one where he looks a little bit angry, making the Sylvester Stallone face. And then you get the yelling face. And I think they're all really, really well done. They all have a little bit of an issue with the bandana underneath the bangs, or the headband underneath the bangs, but they are not bad at all. You get a whole bunch of different hands. Really, hands for everything you would need. I don't need to name them all. You can see. Perfectly usable hands. All right, and then you get a stick, because that's what Rambo's known for. No, I'm joking. You get his knife, which that's what Rambo's known for using. And then you do get a stick and an accessory to wrap the knife to the stick, which I think is very, very clever. They did a good job with that. You get his rifle, which is a nicely done rifle. You get his other rifle, which has a removable magazine and an actual strap that's functional, so that's very nicely done, and they're all very nicely detailed. You get the machine gun, which also has a strap, and it has a moving bipod. Mine is missing one of the legs for the bipod, though, so that kind of blows. But yeah, you can fold those up, and the little carrying handle on the top is also, you can rotate it from side to side, so that's cool. Don't use the charging handle. It does not work. It will break. All right, to go with that, you get one long belt of ammo and then one short one, so that's pretty cool. You get 4 different size ammo belts to put on the figure, like over his shoulders or whatever, so you can do that. And you get his walkie-talkie. That's the last of the regular accessories. And then lastly, you get his potato sack, which is pretty nicely done. There is paint on it to give it the coloring, not just like dye, so it's a little crunchy feeling, but it works nicely. It goes over him and you get a little rope belt for that. And then lastly, we have 2 things. We have a display stand with the name Rambo on it. It's just all black plastic, but you open it up, there's a Ziploc bag, you can keep all your accessories in there, so that's cool. And then you also, if you don't want to use that, you get the flat display stand, which is just kind of a basic piece of plastic. But the arm for the display stand is enormous. I don't know what's going on there. It is absolutely massive. So I guess that's potentially useful for people, but I don't know how exactly. It's well built, but it is humongous. Regardless, that's a buttload of accessories for 80 bucks, and they are all highly, highly well made. I said that weird. But they're good. It's really good. 3 very detailed heads with all kinds of paint and sculpt work, all kinds of guns and knives and hands and clothing and stuff. Like, what you get for your money from some of these companies is pretty impressive, and I think they came out the gate swinging here. By the way, I do believe I'll be reviewing Judge Dredd soon. But yeah, so far I'm thrilled. Accessory-wise, other than missing the one part of the gun, which I'm going to see if they can send me, and the display stand being a little bit big, 10 out of 10. That's a buttload of accessories. That's really, really good. All right, so now, can it pose? Let's talk about the articulation. The head is on a double ball peg, the neck is on a ball peg, but it's just like a Storm Collectibles figure in that the neck is flexible. And they freaking nailed it. It works well. It works very well. It's not perfect, but it's still a piece of plastic. It's still an action figure. But in terms of this kind of thing, they did a really good job. So you're going to be able to move that nicely. I can't believe they nailed this on their first try. That is good. Unless they've made figures like this that I haven't seen before, that is good. Now, the shoulders, the arms are connected on a ball peg. And in the package, it was like this, and I thought, oh, that's an ugly meat flap gap. We don't want that. But you just put them up where they belong because the shoulders should be up higher. And it looks really nice. And as you use that ball peg, that softer material just flexes with it. And it works pretty dang well. The range of motion on the shoulder, no problem at all. Better than horizontal. It does get a little gappy in the armpit, of course. But it works pretty darn well so far. Let's see about rotation this way. No problem. By the way, all of the joints so far, we'll see what happens. But I have had no issues with the joints. They're nice and stiff, but not too tight. Bicep swivel works nicely. That's good. Double jointed elbow. Good range. Not the best looking thing in the world, but it's definitely acceptable. I mean, we've seen way worse, so that's all right. Wrists are on a ball hinge. That works nicely. I guess you could argue his hands are small, but in real life, if you're muscly at all, your hands do look small. So maybe they could be a touch bigger, but once you use like an open hand to hold something, it's not going to stand out. So I think that's okay. For the torso, it does feel like there's a ball peg in here in the abdomen, like a diaphragm joint. It moves a little bit, but functionally, like not too much, not really. You're not really going to get anything out of it. Maybe it's just a hinge even, I don't know. You can see it's moving, but I don't know what you can really do with that. You do get a ball peg down here though, which works well enough. It does make the pants look even bulkier, but if you pose him, I'm thinking it'll be okay. But it does work pretty well, all right? For the hips, it's basically what you would expect. So he does have pants on, and so the splits are going to be limited, and it's going to fight back against the articulation, but you can still get him out that far. I'm thinking it's Rambo. He's probably going to be okay like that, reasonably. And then he can kick pretty far forward. You always have problems with pants on these kind of figures. The knee bend is nice and deep. It shouldn't be a problem. It's better than 90 degrees. You do get a thigh swivel in there if you need it. And then for the ankles, it feels like it's a ball hinge. And they work pretty well. Not perfect. The material fights the joints some. But for a reasonable pose for Rambo, you should be perfectly fine. No real issue there at all. So articulation, it should definitely be what you need it to be. It could be better, of course. But with soft goods and then a soft frame on top of a skeleton at this scale, you're going to run into those kinds of issues. So I think it's fine. I'll give the articulation a 7. There's nothing exceptional going on here, but it works well. I really love the neck, but the rest is fairly limited, so 7. It's perfectly reasonable. Even at 80 bucks, there's a lot in this figure for 80 bucks. Paint job, sculpt work, clothing, accessories, reasonable articulation. It's easily worth the money if you ask me. Okay, but we're not at that point yet. Well, I guess we are. Let's do a final rating on this guy. Has it converted me to a soft goods lover? No, it has not. If I was really interested in a Rambo figure, would I be okay with this? Yes, absolutely. It looks perfectly fine. I really don't like the thick waist. I think we can pose that away. Probably you put a gun in his hand, you're not even going to notice it. You still have the problems of soft goods, but if you're collecting this sort of thing, it's not going to be a problem. I'm going to give this an overall rating, considering everything included and how well it was executed. I'm going to say 8.5. I'm being a little bit harsh because of the weird look of the waist. It's just too thick, and I think they could fix that a little, like tweak that a little bit as they go forward making figures like this. But seeing that they made all 3 Rambo figures all at once, basically, it could be a problem. But yeah, it could be better, but it is darn good. And if you're if you were looking for something like this and you're into this sort of thing, I don't think you're going to be disappointed. I'm not, and I don't even care about Rambo really, and I don't like soft goods, and I'm enjoying the figure just fine. So there it is, guys. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you probably should. I have new videos every day, but Wednesday, usually I'm getting back on schedule, and I do have thousands of videos already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.